Welcome to our backtesting live session. Thank you for joining me today here. So we are back again with another session. As you know, I do these sessions 3 times a week, or I try to do them 3 times a week. So we have session today and then tomorrow, and also on Thursday, we will have a session. The purpose of our backtesting jam sessions is to just basically get some repetitions in, take a look at charts, look at what happened in the past, and simulate the trading. So instead of having the stress of having our money on the line, or doing demo trading where we just let the trade run, this is kind of the in-between medium. So think of it as doing your flight simulator. So when I at one point wanted to become a private pilot, and I went to flight school. So some of the training was actually flying the plane, but a lot of it was on the flight simulator. So even though it wasn't a real live flying, it was very similar because the things that you encountered were very, very similar. So you got the same type of experience, even though you weren't actually flying the plane and you were not paying as much for it. So this is the same thing. We are doing simulation of our trading environment without really having anything on the line. So, all right, just let's get started. The strategy that we are testing today is based on the daily candlesticks. So we take a look at our daily candlesticks to get our market direction, and then we go on to our hourly candle to actually take a trade. The idea is to take a trade in the direction of the trend, and we are looking for a 1 hour to provide us those opportunities. So here, as we can see, I had to start the test again. So it gave me this previous information once again. This is the last time. This is where we left it the last time. So what we see here is price has been coming down for some time now. This has been a big, large trend to the downside here. So if we were to take a look at it, let me zoom out here. So it looks like we did that. I had to restart my computer, so it just gave me same information a couple times. But if we take a look back, so this thing is coming all the way from here. So it looks like we have a little bit more information perhaps. Okay, so basically what we are coming into is this support and resistance line. So this is where we are currently, and looks like it did go down a little bit. So overall, we are coming into some resistance, and I am going to just let that one go here. Okay, so now we are back into the support resistance area from previously. Price has reacted at this level before. So how do we trade this? Excuse me. Okay, so how do we go about trading this? So in terms of our daily candle here, this is where we are. So if you are on the call with me live, please feel free to say hello and put your comments in. So currently looking at the daily candle close here, what do you expect market to do? So from my perspective, so generally when we see a huge, large move like this and price comes into a day like this, will be now daily and weekly support resistance levels, price generally there will be a pullback from there, or there will be buyers or orders sitting there, which can cause a price to react. So in this case, I would be looking for, so we have a large pin to the downside. So if we take a look at the difference between this candle right here, so this is a nice bearish candle here, very solid candle close. This one here, on the other hand, price did go to the next support and resistance area, but since then it pulled back because we have a large pin to the downside, which shows that there were some orders sitting here and price could not hold at those levels. So these pins generally show rejection, and it means that we could see price react at those levels. So we don't want to be going short on this, one, because we are into the support, secondly, because we have a large pin that shows that there are buyers there. So let's take a look. I'm going to go through the 1 hour chart here, and see what we have. So I do look for price to come and test that level once again, or so basically I'm looking for price to move up from here because of the rejection. So the bias here will be long. Okay, so here we have that. Price is pulling back, but we don't have any strong, we need to see price kind of go back up there. So that's a good strong candle close. Still going sideways, trying to make its way up. I'm not seeing any strong candles to the upside, which is what we need to see. So price is going sideways at the moment. So now we're starting to see candles. So, okay, so now we have a daily candle close here. So we have a bullish candle close. Price has engulfed this previous one. And now my bias for this one will be to the upside. So now I'm looking for price to go up higher because we have this bullish candle close, but the overall move is still to the downside. So I'm basically looking for a price to go into the next support and resistance level over there. Okay, so no, I'm looking for a solid candle close. So price is wanting to test lower once again. And here we are. Okay, so now we have a price moving higher. We are starting to see candles here. So that's a good looking candle. We could likely take an order here. So let's say new market order. And I'm looking for a buy order. So my stop will be below this level here. No, I should have done this right here. So we'll put stop out there. And I'm looking for price to go into 54. Yeah, so I'm looking for price to go into about that area. All right, so let's do a buy and let's see if we get there. Okay, first we need to go past this level, and another option is to actually take a buy order once price has crossed this level. So let's take a quick peek here. So it's slowly making its, okay, so now we have a good solid candle close to the upside. Now, what are your expectations? What are you thinking that the price is going to do? Any thoughts? Here, I'm looking for price to go higher. So this is a good solid candle close here that shows that there's momentum in the trade. So I'm looking for price to pull up, go higher. And for that, it needs to hold above this level, the 5,400 level. Okay, so it's slowly making its way up there and getting very close. There we go. Okay, perfect. So we have a pin bar right into our take profit target. So if you take a look at the daily here, this is where we were looking for price to go to into this support resistance area. And as we can see, this is where it's gone. So that's a good one. So here what we see, just to kind of comment on here, what we see is a large pin to the downside, which means there are buyers or there were orders sitting there that pushed the price up. So next day we saw the price go up, and the following day price tried to come and test it lower, but then got pushed up. So once the candle closes like this, so we have two pins to the downside now. This shows that price is struggling at that level, and we are likely to see it go higher. And we see that. So here, and that's why we took the bullish, I should say the long position here, and we were bullish because of this pin to the downside, because now we have higher lows, and now we're looking for price to go higher. So this is a very solid candle close. Price has pulled back, and I think it could go all the way up here, but we have to get past this level first. So let's see. So my bias after this candle close, this daily candle closes to the upside. So let's take a look. So if we were to zoom out on our 1 hour chart, this is where we are. So we need to break above this level here. So price struggled right about there. So we need to see, so what we could see is price could pull back into this previous support and resistance area, or even into this one, lower one here, and then go up from there. So let's take a look and see if we have an opportunity to take a trade. Okay, so here we go, big drop from there. And so this is the area, if I were to zoom out, so this is the area I was talking about, this pin bar right here. So actually, let me draw a support resistance level right there. So price needs to hold above this level for us to continue higher. All right, so let's see if it will do that. So right now, the bias is to the upside, and generally we see pullbacks before the price will start moving. So right now, going sideways, consolidating in that area. And okay, so now we have a full daily candle close. So in this case, we could see the price either pull back into this level, which is 1.5437 level, or it could pull back all the way into a 1.5412 level, because those are the pins. So that's how I sort of look for where the pullback levels will be. All right, so we'll go back to our 1 hour chart and see what price does. Overall bias is to the upside. Okay, so it's pulling back. So there's the pullback that I mentioned right into the pin there. So now we need to see, will it hold above this level? If it holds above this level, then there will be an opportunity to take this trade long. Okay, so that's a good candle close. So why don't we give it a whirl? Let's put in an order in, and with this one, let's do, where's our close? 1 point. So I'm just going to put it, that's a little large. Actually, let me just cancel this for a second. I need to zoom out so we can see this better. Okay, so below this level here, that's where so when we're trading from the daily charts, the stops will be wide, as will our take profit targets as well. Okay, so, and right now we're not too concerned about exact risks to reward here. The idea is to just get some repetitions in. It's kind of like playing basketball. You're just shooting the ball. Doesn't matter whether we keep count or not. The idea is that we ingrain the movement into our brain. So we look at how the price moves, what kind of fluctuations we see in price, what support resistance that it comes to. So we're just trying to ingrain those moves into our brains so that there will come a point where we just know what the price is going to do. And you may, somebody may actually look at you and say, how did you know it was going to do that? And you may not be able to answer that because you just know what it's going to do, because you have done these repetitions so many times that your brain just knows what the price is likely to do. Now, this is, of course, does not include any kind of news or any sort of other things that may come into play in our live trading sessions. But outside of that, this is really good practice to ingrain those ingrain the moves in our brains and create those neural pathways that will actually create muscle memory for us. Okay, so we have taken a long trade. Price has held above this level. We have a nice bullish engulfing candle close. And now we need to see the price break the high. If it does not break the high, then it can either come and test this level once again, or even go below. So that will be a concern. So let's take a look. Okay, so looking good so far. It's reacting at that resistance. There we go. It blows through that support resistance. And if we were to, so this is where we are. So it blew through this support resistance level that it struggled with. And now we need to see if we'll get to our profit target. Oh, we have a pin bar very, very close. Okay, it got to our profit target. and now we have 2 pins on top. So this is how the price generally moves. We have, once we hit an important support resistance level, price will start to have trouble with it, and then we have an indication with this candle here that price is likely to move higher. The next candle comes and gives us a bit of a scare here, because it looks like price is going to come lower, but then we have a pin bar which suggests that price is likely to move higher, and as we can see, it moves higher, pulls back, and then moves up higher. So now we are back into this support and resistance level that we were looking at previously, and now the question is, will it be able to move through and get to the next support and resistance area? So as we saw, price struggled with this area for quite some time. So I would expect price to go back into this level and essentially struggle once again. So let's see if that happens. Okay, if you're joining me live, please feel free to comment and say hello, or put your comments on where you think the price is going, what the price is going to do. So here we have 2 pins on the top. So I would look for price to come back into this 1.5512 level, which is basically the previous level that price was struggling with. Overall bias from the daily is to the upside. Okay, so we have pin in the opposite direction, price is pulling back, and here we go. That's the move that I was referring to, back into this support resistance level right here. And now if it, because it's going through the level, we could see a move back in here. So let's take a look. Overall bias is still to the upside here. Okay, so pulling back. Okay, so now it looks like it doesn't want to go higher. Large pin on the top of this daily candle. So we have this move to the downside. And just to sort of a point here, this was actually a good trade setup. And this one is called a tweezer top trade setup. A tweezer top trade setup is where basically you have 2 pins like this, and one will be green, the second one will be a red one, and preferably the second one, we want the second one to be red. And especially on a 1-hour chart, this is a really nice trade setup. This is essentially the same setup that we had on pound dollar today. We saw price drop in the London session, then price on the 1-hour, it pulled back, and then dropped, pulled back, and did one of these. So this generally, and then of course, if you go look at your pound dollar chart from today, you'll see that big drop following that move. And this is what we tend to see generally when we see this type of a trade setup. So this is just something to keep in mind. Aside from what we're doing here, this is a nice bearish trade setup, and generally means when price gets rejected twice from a support resistance level, chances are it's going to move in the other direction. As we can see, we had a nice move here all the way into this pin. So let's continue. Okay, so here we are. That's a big candle close here. So we are right into that pin that I had talked about a while ago there. Okay, so price is holding. So I'm just waiting for daily candle to close and see how the daily candle will close. And based on that, we will make some decisions here. That was a big jump. Okay, so daily candle here. So closed with 2 pins. So this one, I did like the price, that price was moving lower. But what I don't like about it, hey Greg, how's it going? It would be a double top in the lower time frame for sure. The one that we were looking at here, yes. So if we were looking at a 15-minute, that would give you a double top, or a 5-minute would also give you a double top. So that, yes, for sure. Okay, so what do you expect price to do now? So we have 2. So I was liking this candle as it was forming. So this was a nice move. And this goes to show that usually well, when we have something like this, we can get those moves to the downside. Like we can find a counter trend trade, even though the bias was to the upside here, we can find a counter trend trade. And especially because here price had, after that price closed with a large pin. So here we have pin to the downside. We have 2 pins to the downside. This candle becomes neutral now. That's how I would look at the candle. So I would look at the candle as a neutral candle because this was turning out to be a nice bearish engulfing candle, but then looks like buyers stepped in and we got a large pin. So we have a bearish candle body, a large pin to the downside, and the pin is about the same size as the candle body, making it essentially neutral. So this is not a candle I would take a short trade on. And now, so this is how the candle closed, but looks like the price has jumped, which makes our chart a little bit messed up. So now I would, if it was a real actual gap in the market, then I would be looking for price to fill the gap. But at this point, I'm not sure if it's just data missing in the software or if it was a live actual gap in the market. So at this point, let's just cycle through it and see what we get. Okay, so we have some nice pins here, some nice. So this actually, this trade right here, that would be a good trade to take. And the reason that's a good trade to take, and one of the reasons I did not take this trade was because I wasn't sure if this was a real gap or imaginary gap in the software. So this here, if we see this on our charts, I would, in my normal live trading, take this trade because we are into this previous support resistance area where price had struggled. It's the 80 number, so 1.5580. So the zeros, 20s, 50 and 80 are these support resistance levels where generally people, generally we see that price will react. So it's the 80 number and it's our resistance, it's the previous resistance, it's a large pin and a good solid candle close to the downside. So Greg says the resistance has held. Yes, I absolutely agree. And I agree with you that price is likely to go down from here. So this would be a good place to actually place an order and then looking for price to go down. But we'll just cycle through it now. So looks like we're filling that gap. Okay, so as we can see, price came right down to fill this gap. And this is generally what happens on our when we are trading in the live environment and you see a gap on the chart, price will generally go and fill the gap. Okay, so now we have that. Although the Bitcoin price hasn't filled the gap, the other day we saw a big gap down in Bitcoin. It hasn't quite filled that gap, although it's trading in that sideways range just below the gap, so it can take some time. Anyways, I digress. Okay, so what we have now here from daily candle close, what do you expect price to do? What's the market direction based on our daily? Any thoughts on that? Okay, so I am looking for price to move lower here. So it did go and test higher, dropped, and now we have closed with a bearish with a bearish candle close, and it's holding below the support resistance level. So I would look for it to drop further. We could get a pullback back into this 155.100 one. Yeah, so we could get a pull back into this support and resistance level here. But overall, from the daily, based on the daily, I would look for price to drop. Okay, Greg says very bearish bias. Emin says going down. Hey, Emin. Okay, yes, so I agree, looking for price to drop from there. So let's see if we can get a pullback into that. Okay. Okay, so we may not get a pullback. So we got a bit of a pullback, but that's a good candle close. So let's see if we can get a move into. So we are at 54.80, 54.08. So back into this support and resistance area, and then potentially further down. So that will be the first. All right, so let's take a look. We'll do a sell trade. Let's put the stop there. And we'll put our take profit target. So not quite 1-to-1 here. So ideally, we could go, if it closes below this level, we could go even lower into 53.50-ish level. So actually, let's see if it will actually get there. But I think it will struggle with this. So let's see first if it gets here. So let's sell. Okay, so big bullish candle close. So there's the pullback into, so we are back into this support resistance level. Okay, that's looking bullish right now. It's pulling back. That is looking quite bullish. So price is now pulling higher, or pushing higher, I should say, back into our support resistance area right there. Okay, so this is where price is reacting now. So it could, let's see if it comes back lower. I'm looking for it to essentially come back lower here. Okay, so now we have a bullish candle close. So what are your thoughts on what the market direction is based on our daily candle close here? So Greg, that was an entry based on the daily candle close. That was based on this candle close. So looking for a follow through. So we didn't quite get the follow through. So I was looking for a follow through into 154. So this pin or that pin didn't quite get a follow through. And now we have a bullish candle close. So what is your bias now? So my bias will be to the upside. And I look for price to pull back into this level here, about there. So that would be about there. So let's see if it will pull back into there before it continues higher. But the bias is to the upside. And I'm trying to see if it will bring us down to let us close the trade. Not so much. Okay, so it's struggling there. It's really struggling at in that area. All right, so here we have a triple top trade setup. So aside from this here, it's a counter trend trade essentially because of our biases to the upside here. But this one is a very solid triple top. So we have 1, 2, 3 pushes into this level, and we have a nice big bearish candle close, nice big bearish candle close, nice bearish candle close here. So after the third time, that just gives us extra confirmation that price is at least likely to pull back, if not completely reverse direction. So this one here, we're looking for entries on the hourly, not necessarily in the lower time frame. So we're just purely going off of the 1 hour entry. Okay, so right now, so as we can see, price is struggling in this area. So there was that upwards move there. Overall is to the downside, but there was that upwards move pullback, and now price is really struggling. So our position is very close to, okay, so this is where we are now. Based on the daily, what's the bias? What are we looking at in terms of market direction? Okay, so here I'd be looking for price to, my bias will be to the downside here because it's just hitting that wall there. So I'd be looking for price to drop. So let's see if we can get that drop. Okay, we're getting the pullback. Okay, that's a good, so what price is doing here is went into this previous support resistance area. And okay, so that's a good solid candle close. So we are into support there. Okay, it's slowly making its way back up now. So price is definitely in that sideways sort of. So looking at our daily candle here. So now we have a bullish. So price is going sideways. Okay, so now what? Okay, so we are in that consolidation. So essentially we are in the range there. So we need to see price break out of that range. And there's the breakout. Looks like I pushed the hourly button, the hourly candle once again. So essentially it just took off. It went above our resistance, closed above, and that's where it went all the way up. So sorry, I accidentally clicked on the daily as opposed to hourly. Okay, so this is where we are. So let's take a look at, so this is the area that we were targeting earlier. So we are back in here. We had a bullish candle close. Price could not really hold below this support resistance. It came down to test it once again and then took off from there. So this is kind of where it took off from. Okay, so now I am going to, okay, so now we have a big, huge bullish candle close. Where do we expect price to go next? Or what's your bias here based on this daily candle close? Bullish candle close, so I'm looking, the bias is to the upside. And now, because we are in this area where price has reacted previously, now I'm looking for price to react at the high of this. So we should see either price pulls back into the bottom here, but it should, I would expect some sort of a reaction. So let's take a look. So the level that we are watching is 57. So let's go to the 1 hour, zoom out. Okay, so here we are. This is the top. So this is the top of the range. So let's see if price will react at that level. Okay, so we jumped right into it. And there we see price. Okay, so excuse me. So now we are at the top of this here. That's a nice bearish engulfing candle close. It's counter trend trade here. But let's take an order and let's see if we can see the price essentially come down. And if you can see price come down into this previous support resistance area, 1.30. Let's see if it'll come down here. I'm not sure if it'll come down as much, but let's take a look. Okay, it's pulling back. So this is kind of where I'm looking at. 1.5630 is the better level. So we are at 42, going sideways. Yeah, so that's making its way back up. So chances are it's going to go higher there if it doesn't stay below. That's a good solid candle close. Okay, 56. Yeah, that is looking bullish now. There we go. Yeah, so it came into this area. So this is the area that I was looking at, 1.5630. My take profit was slightly lower than this one. It was in here. So better take profit would have been right into the bottom of this little range that we have here. So now we have a bullish candle close here. Actually, let me see if the daily is closed yet. Not quite closed yet. Okay, so now the daily is closed. So daily candle close is bullish. What are we looking at? Hey, Michelle, how are you? Okay, so based on our daily here, what are we looking at? What's our bias? So my bias here would be to the upside here because price did come back and retest this level. Now we are not out of this range yet. So if we look to the side here, we had trouble, or price had trouble with this area. So I would expect price to have a little bit more trouble as well, but we do have a large pin. So this is looking like a bullish pin bar. So bias is certainly to the upside. And the next target here will be all the way up here at 1.5840 level. So let's take a look. Okay, so bias is bullish. So price needs to break that high for it to continue higher. There we go. So now we have cleared the high. So price is likely to go higher here. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's see if we can take a long here. Um, 158.42. Okay, so let's give it a whirl. So as long as it holds above this level here, I would look for it to continue higher. But like I said, it is in this area where price has struggled. If it struggled once, chances are it will struggle again. Ooh. And that's the struggle. Yeah, it's a large pin. So looks like for some reason market was a little. So here we are. So price, we have. Okay, so what do you expect from this candle close here? So like I said, price would generally struggle in the same area. So this one, even though it broke higher, it has pulled back into the range, and now it can come back into the bottom of the range. We do have a neutral candle, bearish to neutral candle close here. It's bearish because of just the red body and the rejection here of the high. And we have pins on both sides, which makes it neutral. So we have bearish to neutral candle close here. So for now, it's struggling. So let's take a look. So basically, the price needs to hold above this previous pin for it to continue higher. And right now, I'm looking for price to come back and drop into this level. Okay, so didn't quite touch the pin here. So we have these pins sort of in an uptrend there. And if that holds, overall bias is still to the upside here. So if this holds, this level holds here, chances are it's going to go higher. So let's see. But again, it has to, right now it's in this range. Okay, that looks bearish. That looks very bearish. We are into that pin right there. So it's testing these pins here. And there we go. So this is what I was saying, where price has trouble on one side, it generally has trouble on the other side. So that is quite bearish. So daily candle hasn't closed yet. Okay. Just waiting for, okay, so here's our daily candle close. Now, what do we expect here? Okay, so here, that's a nice bearish engulfing candle close. So from here, I would look for price to drop, and we could get a pullback all the way into 1.5650 level, which is right about there. So the backside of these pins. So let's see if we get that, and then if it gives us an opportunity for a short. Okay, so it's staying below. Let's zoom out a bit to get a better view on this. So it's kind of staying below this level here. So that's a good solid bearish candle close there. And we could try taking an order, but the problem is it could come all the way up there. But I'm looking for price to drop into about 154.80 level. So let's give it a whirl. Okay. All right, so let's see if it will drop. Okay, so we have another solid bearish candle close, looking for it to continue. So it has to break below the support here for it to continue lower. Okay, so it is. Okay, so didn't do a whole lot the following day. So we had a nice bearish candle close, and then the following day, not much of a move. So what are your thoughts now? What are we expecting price to do next? So here I would be looking for, I'm looking for price to pull back further into this level here. So as we can see, there's a lot of struggle here as well. So I would look for price to come into this level and maybe consolidate a bit. So let's see. Okay, it's okay. So finally we have cleared the low here, and now I'd be looking for continuation. All right. So price looks like it's struggling. Oh, okay. All right, so we have another candle close, again, a very small candle close, and now we are into right about there. So what are your thoughts now? What are we expecting price to do? Okay, so now I would be looking, at this point, price is kind of sideways. So price is sideways, and so it's pulled back. So we have this move to the upside. It has pulled back, and now it's here. So candles are getting smaller to the downside, which means we're losing momentum to the downside. We did have a nice bearish candle close here, but now they seem to be losing momentum. So if price closes above this pin here, chances are we're going to start seeing it go higher. All right, so let's see what it does here. So that's a big bullish candle close. Again, came into the previous support resistance. If we were to zoom out here, we see this is the support resistance area that it's struggling with. So we are back into here. Okay, so I'm going to keep both of these up so we can see where we are in comparison to our daily as well. Wow, that went back quite a bit. Okay, bear with me, please, as I try to get all the way back to the Although I think there's a better way to do it. There we go. Okay, there we are. Okay, so we have a bearish candle close. So I would look for price to drop from here. Oh, not so much. Went right there, right that support resistance area. And we are still sideways. So it went and tested the back side of that. So that did a back test of that. And still going sideways here, just. Okay. So now we have another daily candle close here. What are we looking for next? Okay, so now we have a bullish candle close. Market direction is bullish here. Okay, so okay, looks like everybody is bullish on this one as well. All right, so now what I'm looking for is a drop into these pins here. So pull back and then a move to the upside. Okay, let's see if we get a pullback, and I guess we could take out. It is struggling. Yeah, so just couldn't break above that. Okay, looking bearish here. Okay, so now we are into support. So it's back into the support resistance here. Okay, so it's going sideways, and this may be a good time to close the trade. Okay, so still a bit of money there, but it's going sideways. So now, so we are into this consolidation here. Price is struggling at this level, so we are getting a bearish candle close. So let's see if it closes bearish, because the day is not closed yet. Okay, it is closed yet. Okay, sorry. So yeah, so now we have a bearish candle close. It's going sideways here. It's so what are your thoughts on the market direction here? So for me, this is looking very range bound. So we need to either see a break above here, or we need to see a close below the support level. So right now, price is just going sideways right there. So let's see what it does. Let's see if we see any kind of an opportunity. So there we are. It's pulling all the way back, and a big drop. So this one would be kind of hard to trade on a 1 hour chart, because that's a large candle. If you get a pullback, maybe we could. No pullback, so that looks bearish. So this one does look like railroad tracks, but we are in this range, so we do need to see a close below. And as we see, it's struggling. Okay, so it passes through that support level, and that looks quite bearish now. Let's see how the daily closes here. Okay, so that's the daily close here. So it pulled back a bit. What's your bias here? What are we looking for price to do? Okay, so here I would be looking for some bias. My bias would be bearish. Okay, Greg, you're staying very optimistic with the bullishness here. So I'm actually thinking bearish here. So I'm looking for essentially price to come back down now. It hasn't really broken through. It wasn't able to go all the way through here. So it's slowly trickling down. Overall, the bias is still to the downside. We had this pullback, and it could have become a full-fledged reversal. But right now, we're just sort of in this limbo here where there is really no clear direction. All this move, whereas this move, there was the momentum was to the downside where we were getting these large bearish candles here. So we're getting bullish candles and bearish candles, and it's not that the momentum is not quite as strong as it was in this initial move to the downside, but overall looks like it's holding below. So we've held to below this resistance. We are holding below this resistance now, and now price is coming back in here. But as we can see, there's a whole bit of mess here. So we could get a messy move here as well. So, but overall, I'm looking for price to come and test 1.5470 level, which is this support, and then potentially into 1.5420, which is right about there. So let's see if it will do that. And it's pulling all the way back, so very messy. Okay, so all the way back into the high of this candle. All right, so now let's see. So now it's breaking up. It's back into the resistance here. And large pin. Actually, that large pin was really nice to trade. Anyway, so we are looking very bullish there. Okay. So now the candle has closed. There you are, Greg. That is bullish. That became quite bullish all the way from the bottom. Big bullish engulfing candle close. What are we looking at now? What is the market direction? It is very messy. We are in a lot of chop back and forth. Big chop back and forth. But now we have a big bullish candle close. So what do we expect price to do next? So with this one now, that's quite a candle. So that's a big bullish engulfing candle, which means I will look for price to go up. And first though, looking for a pullback. So pullback level could come into 1.5620 level, which is essentially this support and resistance area. So not that far. So let's see if you get a pullback into that area. It is holding above. Okay, so that's looking bullish, but we are into resistance. So we are back into the high of this previous range that it struggled with. So kind of messy. Okay, that's looking bullish, and then that's the close of our candle there. So, or is it not? Sorry. Okay, now the daily candle has closed. Now what? Okay, so Greg thinks bullish on the daily. Yeah, so this daily is looking quite bullish here still, but we are into resistance. And again, still struggling with that area that price had problems with before. Overall, very messy market. No actual clear direction. It just keeps on changing. So it looks like market is trying to make up its mind. All right, so we are into the resistance. So here, essentially, either it needs to close on the other side for it to continue higher, or it needs to basically come back down and give us a good, solid indication of direction. So like, whoa, that jumped. I guess our resistance played out quite well here. So this is the resistance. So anyways, it looks like price has jumped. So we don't have that opportunity to see where what happened here, but looks like we've missed a couple of days here, and now price is all the way into the bottom. So let's assume this is a big bearish candle close. So what would we expect after this? So assuming this is a big bearish candle close, which gives us our evening star trade setup on this daily, I would look for price to come back down. And now actually potentially into 1.5350. So let's give it a whirl. Let's see. So let's do a sell. Well, what happened? Wrong chart. Okay. So let's give it a whirl here. We'll do a sell order, put it there, and the reason I'm putting it all the way up there is because I don't know what happened here and I can't see proper support resistance levels. So we'll just see if it will continue on. So basically it has to stay below essentially this level here for it to continue lower. Okay, so that looks better. Okay, so now it dropped, consolidated, dropped again. Okay, looking for it to continue lower here. Okay, going sideways. Okay, so that's our daily close here. So we saw a drop. I don't know, it looks like it was a couple of different candles that pushed it lower. So that's a bearish candle close here. So I'm looking for price to drop further. Okay, so it pulled back right into this previous support resistance area, right about there. Excuse me. And now we have a good solid hourly close. So now we need to see if it will continue. So my bias is to the downside, and I'm looking for, we are into support though. So something to keep in mind, we are right into support, all these pins here that we were looking at before. So this is when I was looking for price to drop, and which it kind of went in completely opposite direction, went and tested the high. So this was a very, very messy move. And now we are looking for price to drop back into, so first will be these pins right here. Now, of course, we need to get through this. That will be the next one, and that will be the following one after that. So let's see if it gets there. Okay, sideways here, pulling back. Still sideways. Okay, so now we have a bullish candle close. It rejected the bottom here. We are right into our resistance. We have in between support and resistance here. So what are your thoughts on the market now? So it's still looking messy there. And let's see if we can find. Okay, let's see. All right, so, looks like we're missing data here. So it is bearish, and looks like we have a drop right there. And we're missing data. So it looks like we're missing few days of data here. And now it's holding that level, filling the gap. I'm not sure if there was a gap or real data missing, which makes this not very good. Okay, so now we have a bullish candle close. You know what I'm going to do actually? Let's just go through and see what this does here. We are back into the high there. Ooh, that is crazy market. Okay, so that's a very, ignore our trade. So normally we would just close that out a long time ago. Okay, so it looks like we are still in this missing data type of market here. It's very sideways. We are, okay, so it looks like summer months here, kind of similar to what we have right now. Price is just going back and forth between this range. So if we were to remove, let's say, these two here, and expand this chart. Price is just range bound here and not really going anywhere. There we go. So now we have gone through the range and we have some market direction, but for an entire, basically entire summer, price just sat through here. And in August here, we have seen price go through. All right, so I think we will wrap it up here. And tomorrow we'll pick it up at the same place. So we have an actual solid candle close so we can take a look. And let me, I will see you guys again tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. Great session today, great practice. And we'll take a look at it again tomorrow. Have a great rest of the day and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.